Oh, Premanandi, Haribo, Haribo. Reading from because it's the summer and because there's no fan, I may sweat a bit here, but it's worth the sacrifice to be able to give class. Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 1, Chapter 2, Text 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Parameṣṭhi-suta-śreṣṭha. Kintu sva-pitaraṁ hareḥ. Anugraha-padaṁ viddhi. lakṣmī-kānta-suto. But you should know, O best son of Brahmā, that your own father is the true recipient of the favor of Lord Hari. He is directly the son of Lord Viṣṇu, the husband of Lakṣmī. Purport. The four Kumaras headed by Sanga are senior to Narada by age, as are several other sons of Brahmā, but Narada is superior by virtue of his pure devotion to Lord lakṣmī-kānta. But even better than the best son is the father, born not from Mother Lakshmi's womb, but directly from the navel of the Supreme Person. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapatantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from Govardhan Hill. I'm looking directly at the mountain. And I have to admit, I'm not prepared for class, but I think sometimes I become empowered to give class when I'm just honest. When I say not prepared, it's the traveling, it's the jet lag. Arrived in Govardhan. Somehow we bought new air conditioning and it doesn't work. And just getting settled and getting everything done. But I will share you with some realizations. This is so much my home. I think I've spent more time here than any other place because I came in 76 and I spent 20 straight years. And then for the next 25 years, 27 years, I've been half and half, but I haven't come in the summer. When I used to live here all the time, I came in the summer. This is actually the rainy season. Govardhan Hill is just so lush from the rainy season. And actually, I'm not that uncomfortable now. The weather is not that bad. I'm just kind of surprised. Even without the fan and even without the air conditioner. but it was lush, not only lush with green everywhere, but cows grazing. And I first came to the town of Vrindavan, my bhajan kutir there, and did some work with the printing of my books. And, I've been there before 80% of the whole town was born, and the people I know. So it was really great. And, you come to the Dham. There was a little trepidation coming to the Dham because a little more added cost coming at this time. And why am I coming at this time? Of course, it's Purushottama Mas. It's the leap month. It's considered very auspicious. But, I'm here alone. And, usually the people that I know, they come in those 6 months, the people I really, but there's something incredibly sweet about this time of the year, because without that outside influence, which is wonderful, but it's just really the local people and the real sadhus, including people from ISKCON who stay here all year, and some very advanced souls. And what is bhakti? Sarva padi vinir muktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Sarva upadi vinir muktam. Upadi means designations. Designations means the identities you have in the body that limit you to the body and this particular identity. So there are so many upadis. Of course, I have disciples. I'm a spiritual master, but of course, if I think that way, it's the wrong consciousness. As a service to my spiritual master, I may help people, but my consciousness shouldn't be like this. These are students, disciples. It should be like this. My spirit as a service to my spiritual master. That's really the trick of humility in Krishna consciousness when you have to take a position of leadership. The identity has to be, I'm not this, but as a service to my spiritual master. That's what bhakti is. The two best definitions, there's many definitions of bhakti. One is this sarva padi vinir muktam. I'll explain to them. But another definition of bhakti is Panditji, Prabhupada's Sanskrit scholar. We just had him up at Super Soul. I was hosting him, and then Raghunath came and hosted him. Said a very beautiful definition of bhakti. Bhakti is to make oneself available. It's the seva bhav in the heart, as opposed to material consciousness, which you center yourself and tend to see things around you as objects for your objective, which is enjoyment and control. I know one thing when I'm chanting here, and there's Govardhan Hill here, and I intellectually, but hopefully emotionally and spiritually, try to change my consciousness from being the seer in the sense that I'm the subject and other things are objects, to understand that this mountain, Govardhan Hill, is the seer and I'm the object, changing my consciousness in that way. Not that self-centered, everything around me, but I'm around something else. Not the center, but the servant of the center. That actually is the consciousness to enter Vrindavan, which is why when you go into Vrindavan, you're first supposed to approach the Digpals. Dig means direction. Pal means controller of the directions, is Lord Shiva. Actually, this powerful tantric, very good friend for me, promised that all of his yajnas, he's going to protect me. He came to visit me. I told you he's the grandson of Prabhupada's first disciple, Acharya Prabhaka. So immediately I got a call. He visited me. And he was also telling me that, you have to go through Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is the presiding deity of the false ego. And what's the false ego? That's why we get the body. It's a subtle element that delimits the consciousness to identify with the body as superior enjoy control, centeredness, self-centeredness, egotism. That's material consciousness. So bhakti means seva bhav. Service means something else is the center. That's what service means. Because service, what's the center? The center is when you give prominence to your desire separate from the authority of God. When you give prominence to your own desire separate from, I'm a servant of Krishna. We have to eat, we have to do things. But in the trick in bhakti is, it never becomes the goal, it becomes the assistant of the goal, which is to become a servant of Krishna. So, I am the servant of Krishna. And that consciousness. So when you have service, what does it mean? There's another desire besides the one born of your false ego that's coming from the truth, coming through the Guru Parampara, coming through your teachers, coming through the destiny of God, which dictating the world and somebody, God's will, some other will, and that becomes the center. And that's what a humble person is. And the humble person, he has his hands folded. These hands have been used selfishly for God and others. So to be available for service, that consciousness, looking for that desire to guide me and connect me. And the simple example that Prabhupada gives is the hand and the body. The hand gets its relevance when it's not independent of the body. It gets its nourishment when it's not independent of the body. We get our meaning when we're not independent of God. We get our sustenance when we're not independent of God. So, and the other definition of bhakti is best, this is the introduction to Bhakti Sandarbha. Bhakti is best expressed in seva, which means loving responsiveness to the Lord through the faculties of the mind, body, and words. That's what a saint is. Selfishness and sainthood are the opposite. He wants to serve. He wants to serve God. He wants to serve others. That's what love means. We talk so much about love, but what is real love? And when we see those types of people, we see such strength, because to actually be a servant of Krishna, you have to be, and I'm going to joke, Maharaj, yes, Swami, but not a renunciant, not an ashram, but Maharaj, the great king, who can resist the false ego and the senses for the will of God. That's power. Swami means Lord, my Lord, controller. Controller of what? Controller of the senses. And it's not just the color of a cloth. Those are the powerful people. Because those people become instruments for God. And that's why bhakti is so powerful, because it is the path of grace. Grace or mercy enables one to achieve something beyond one's own capabilities and efforts. So somehow I started with this, oh yeah, so I'm coming to Vrindavan, and it's great. It's great. No upadis, those material designations. I'm leader of the yatra. Of course, I try to always do it as I'm doing it as a servant for Krishna. But it's so bare-chested, bare feet, delicious cold showers, simple living. Sarva, and this is the definition from Narada Pancharatna, the most prominent definition. One of the most prominent definitions of bhakti is Sarva Padi Vinir Muktam. Vinir Muktam, to become liberated from what? Sarva Upadi, all material designations. Sarva Padi Vinir Muktam, Tatpura Twaina Nirmalam, Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti, that you're controlling, that you're Sevan Mukha Jiva Dao. Mukha, your face, you Sevan Mukhi, you serve and you face. Not we're distracted like this and like this, but no, like this. Sevan Mukhi, the service, Mukhi, face. We're facing the will of God. Vuvasayat Mika Budhya Eke Ha Kurunandana Bahushaka Yanantascha. Prabhupada's inspiration for spreading Krishna consciousness was this verse. Vuvasayat Mika Budhya Eke Ha Kurunandana Eke Ha Vuvasayat Maka Atmaka, the soul. Vuvasayat, fixed. Bahushaka Yanantascha. It's not many branch. Many branch means the ego. It means the mental plane. The calculations are endless for where I can enjoy and control more. The calculations for service is much simpler. What you want, I will do. That's what a gopi is. Kinkari. Kinkari means a name for gopi. Kinkari. What you do, kink. What you want, I will do. The same image, that fixedness. And Prabhupada said in that verse that means to take the order of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. And it's so glorious to see that. I went to the 24-hour kirtan the first day I was there. They have these little plaques by Indra. Some of the best kirtaniers in the world. They were there. We hear of the famous ones in the West, but there's some in India. And I have to say, they come to my Puri Yatra. If any of you want to come to my Puri Yatra, I'll probably be advertised. It was real special last year after COVID, so many people, but we'll have it again. And those kirtaniers, remember those drummers? But I saw Indra's plaque. So fixed, his eyebrows would furrow, fixed. Sevan Mukhi, your service, you're fixed. Rishikena, to the control of the senses, Krishna. Sarvapadi Vinir Muktam Tatpara Twaina Nirmalam Rishikena Sevanan Bhakta Uttama Seva Mukha Jiva Dao. Wait, did I get the right verse? Let me see. Sarvapadi Vinir Muktam Tatpara Twaina Nirmalam Rishikena Sevanan Bhakta Uttama. Sevanam Bhakta, that is Uttama Bhakti. That was another verse that I was chanting, the last line. Anyway, coming here, you know me, I'm an optimist, exciting. I didn't know what was going to happen coming here all alone, kind of, I don't know, but it's just been, I took lunch with Bhakti Began Goswami. And another interesting thing happened because I've been in Vrindavan for so many years, but it's always for service. of course, Vikram, you all know Vikram, he's doing wonderfully. He came and Dhanurdhara, we're planning our Jaipur trip. Anyway, he came to visit me, and because he has such a nice service attitude, I needed ghee, he brought me ghee, I needed this. So it's turned out nice. And then Purushottam Mas, some tapasya. And what is tapasya? Despite the irrational impulses of the mind and senses, you continue your service. So you fix some service that will be your service, and it's reasonable according to your adhikari, but it takes a little difficulty. Because what happens is, when you neglect the mind and the body, when you're in a situation where you have to do that, you extract yourself from the bodily consciousness. But it's not artificial tapasya. It's increasing your devotion and your service, which will be a little inconvenient, and it will elevate your consciousness. So, okay, I'm going all over the place, I'm sorry. But I'm here for service. So I'm really looking forward to fixing myself in some kind of, vratas, and only because I think Prabhupada wants me to do it, and I'm only here for service. So I'm all fixed for this, and I'm in the airport in New York. We were delayed a day. We have to stay in a hotel. I met one nice brahmachari from Bhakti Bandhav, who took initiation from Rasik Mohan. And kind of, he was like the younger brahmachari, so we had to go to a hotel. He kind of served me. It was really nice. And we're in the airport, and this really clean-cut, innocent, very moral and intelligent, mentally fixed young man comes up to me and says, I saw you here, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm a Mormon. I just came back from my mission in Brazil. And I'm with my friend, and, we just want to explore new cultures. He wasn't putting anything on me. And one second, there's some noise there. Oh. What? Did you hear my qualifications? What? Hey, come on, you said. I caught the culprit making all the noise. He wanted to say hello. Can you come just a second, then I'll continue my class? It's kind of a... Can you come? Because then I can start my class again. Then you can do that again. A lot of people you should say hello. Oh.
Hare Krishna, everyone. This is Vikram. Hare Krishna from Govardhan. I hope you're doing great, and I hope I can see you and serve you someday. That includes Jalkeli Prabhu. I can see him. Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Seva Bob, I didn't even know. He saw that I needed things in my kitchen. He just loves to serve the Vaishnavas. So, I I guess that means I should kind of get into the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. It's just an introduction. But, and if you're in Vrindavan, you have to be in that mood of seva bhav. Otherwise, you're antagonistic to the energy, because everything here is moving for seva. It's moving for the center. And I gave the analogy, moving the opposite way. It's like going on a boat against the stream and against the wind, a sailboat. In other words, that wind that can so much help you and propel you, if you're moving in that direction of service, becomes your opposing force. But it's not the wind, it's the way you're turned. It's your consciousness. It's your consciousness. So I've been here and I know there has to be that kind of seriousness. And so now the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, I haven't done the preparation, but we know the basic template. What it's trying to do, it's trying to highlight, and I'll just, because the word was used at the beginning, parama dasha antim. The parama, the top, the sha, stage, antim. The top end stage, which is the love of the gopis for Krishna. And that's what Lord Chaitanya really came to give. And I quoted that verse many, many times. Anarpita, never before given, Charim Charat, for a very long time. Anarpita Charim Charat, Karunaya Vitirna Samarpya Tum. Una Tojvala Rasad, this sva-bhakti, his own bhakti. And God in the form of his devotee is coming to experience it and to distribute it. And he does it in Guru Parampara, not under Parampara. There's two types of Parampara. Guru Parampara, realized teachers, under Parampara, blind. Pradyumna gave this example. If someone's blind, he has senses and he can communicate something, but some part he can't, of some experience. So Lord Chaitanya wants to empower someone who is fully fixed in devotion, in the absolute reality, fully fixed. And he chooses Sanatana Goswami. And he really wants to highlight this kind of love, spontaneous love, which means that it's not impeded by a sense of reverence. And I explained this, it's all on the highest platform. We should only be lucky to have Vaikuntha love, but when the object is God, there's distance, there's obligation, and there's fear. And that's part of that bhav, but it doesn't make it as forceful as spontaneous devotion. And the height of spontaneous devotion is the gopis for Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya really wants to give that to the world. And Sanatana Goswami, out of his realization, does it through this story, the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, where he'll show pure devotional service, but at different levels of intensity. They're all completely pure, but there's different levels of intimacy. And the example is a mother's love and a romantic love. The mother's love is pure, the romantic love is pure, but the romantic love has a greater degree of intensity. We don't diminish the mother's love, but we have some sense of that. So it's the essence, but somehow or other, there's, I love how Prabhupada puts it. It's also in the Shastra, perfect, more perfect, and most perfect, because perfect means there can't be anything better, but in the spiritual realm, there can be perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. So it begins with, and I don't want to go the whole story, I told it so many times, with Narada's search. And it's the essence of the Bhagavatam too, because the Bhagavatam has different levels of devotion from the very beginning, the very end. There are different levels of devotion. So there are different levels of devotion. So it parallels the Bhagavatam. It's just in a more condensed form. And the story is different. There's always two stories. There's the external story and there's the message. The message is the Bhagavatam. The external story is the Bhagavatam. But the message never changes, but the external story can change, and it's still the Bhagavatam. You give Prabhupada's purports, it's the Bhagavatam. He just had to expand the meanings and make it more implicit. So here we have the story of Narada, and he went from the Brahmin to the king to the demigods Indra. And Indra, in his humility, we know the story of the general template. We see that devotion from the eyes of Narada, the eyes of that. We see the devotion from the Vaishnava who points to someone higher, from Narada who goes and sees that person, and then from how that person reacts to praise, which is really telling. And it just struck me when I was reading Bhakti Loka by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that he said the most pernicious of all endeavors is to seek fame. Another thought came to my mind. Anyway, with those Mormons, I'm sorry if I go all over the place. I have to go back to Vrindavan. They're coming to see me. Want to learn meditation. Very open-minded. So I'm here. What I'm saying is I'm here for service, and I don't dictate what it is, Krishna. So even though my plan is just to stay here, first day of Purushottama Mas, I'll be in Vrindavan and I'll be traveling and I'll be preaching, but I'll still have to keep up my vrata. So then Indra gets glorified as something special. And the real speciality of Indra is that his younger brother is God. His younger brother is God, but then he tells his younger brother, we know that Krishna, who's also, he knows that there's different forms of it. It's the same thing. It's God with different forms. So the forms are God, but what God is the essence, and the forms can change. It's like a person. The essence, but he has different relationships. So Indra, he stole the Parijata flower. He told the Swadharma assembly house. It's so many problems he had. So Indra finally tells Narada, if you really, really want to see the topmost devotee, then you go see your father. Because your father is Atma Bhu. Your father is born directly from the navel of God. So then we'll go today a little bit in the story, because I didn't prepare, I'll just read. So he starts to describe Yashaikasmin dina shakra madrashasyus chaturdasha manvari yukta yasyascha chatayuga sahasrakam. In one day of Brahma, 14 Indras like me come and go, along with different sets of Manus and all the demigods. Thus one day equal 1,000 cycles of earthly ages. So there's a whole different level of existence of Lord Brahma. And we did the calculations before. His day is 1,000 yuga cycles. Yuga cycle is 4,300,000. His night is 1,000 yuga cycles. So it's 2,000 times 4,300,000. That's how long he lives. So Indra's saying, you go see Brahma, because I only live, I live every different Manu, there's a different Indra. Indra means king of heaven. So there are 14 in 1,000. So that's 72. I live 72 times 4,300,000. He lives 2,000 times. It's a whole level, different level of existence. And what service he had, because Brahma is very multi-leveled, very multi-leveled in the services he does and how intelligent he is. But of course, there's not, longevity is not, although actually when my mother was getting older, Pradyumna, who was a real scholar, my God, how much he knows. And he asked me where I was going. I said, I'm going to see his mother. Yes, if someone's over 90, they must be respected. I've kind of felt that, Shastik. There's something about age. It's not the overriding factor, but there's something about it. There's something about age. So he lived so long. And not just age, but that's the length of his service. And my God, he has a service because when Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, when all the elements are manifest, the universe from Viṣṇu, then Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, God in this world, the elements have to be assembled. And the management of God is Brahmā, and that's going to be explained. One thing he does is he's an engineer that arranges the movement of the world to coordinate everybody's karma. It's the most incredible engineering devotional feat that's ever been manifested. Nisha tava titamya, nisha chatavi titamya, ho ratranam shatatrayi, shashutarabhave varsham, yasyayus touch shitam shritam. According to the scriptures, Brahma's night is of the same duration. 365 of such days and nights make one of his years. So how does he live? 2,000 times 4,300,000 times 365 times 100. That's his lifetime. And Indra just lives 1/14 of 12 hours of Brahmā. So it's just a different level of existence. Lokanam lokapalanam apshashta dikarat karida palaka karma falado ratrao shamhara kashchaya. He is the creator of the planets and the rulers he assigns them. He is the world's chief protector, the dispenser of the fruits of karma, and at the onset of his night, the destroyer of the world. So he is the karma phala da. Karma phala, the fruit of karma, da. He gives the fruit of karma. Karma phala da. He gives the fruit of karma. So that's something really, really, really special. Just think, Chad, if you're free after this, you send me your WhatsApp number and I'll call you if you're free.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Send me or I'll just give you my number right now and you call me, okay?
Okay, sounds good. All right.
You have it? You have my number?
I have your cell phone number that you gave me in when you were in camp.
That's my WhatsApp. Okay. Give me just 5 minutes after the class finishes and everything's gone. Okay. Karma phala da. Dispenser of karma. Whoa. Sahasra shirsha yaloke shamaha purusha sputam unjano yagya bhāgavatāmṛta vashat yanandada sada. The Mahapurush, the 1,000-headed form of the Lord, is always directly visible on Brahma's planets. Personally, personally accepting the countless oblations offered him and thus always giving delight to his devotees. At the beginning of each day of his life, Lord Brahmā appoints qualified candidates to serve as Indra, the sages, the Prajapatis, and the demigods. Also, he protects the universe from chaos by establishing Vedic sacrifice and the social laws for individual classes of human beings. Thus, Brahmā not only creates the universe, but maintains it as well. Indra also says that he destroys it because when Lord Brahmā goes to sleep at night, a break in his meditation partially devastates the universe. When Hiranyakashipu worshipped Brahma with the demonic aim of subverting the universal order, he glorified Brahmā similarly. It's a long purport. Okay, I'd like to finish a little bit before. Jamunajaya, you have any point in the class that you could share with us?
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you very, very much for class. Something you said early on is resonating with me from something you said last week at the retreat that I've heard you say a lot of times, but I think it just took me this long to get it. You often say the limited conception of I when we're thinking about the ego, and today you started off by saying that the ego delimits the consciousness to I'm just the body and the mind, and that's just really resonating with me. Just thinking of what I allow my mind to do when I'm too much in my false ego. I'm actually making myself smaller to the body and the mind instead of broadening to being, a spark of divinity. So was really.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Actually, I read this in the Yoga Sutras, and it's very interesting. At the end of one's life, God has to make a decision of what is the experience we next need to purify our consciousness and bring us closer to him. And there's so many desires we've had, there's so many deeds we perform, there's a consciousness that we have, and he makes a call, and there's a particular body, And then false ego is like a funnel, which limits the consciousness to identify with the particular body. So our consciousness is really restricted by these upadis or designations. And in the Bhagavatam, it talks about the freedom of the soul. The soul is not restricted by any country, any universe. It's really some kind of extraordinary freedom, which you choose to serve God and be an instrument for the, for the universe. So it's a wonderful thing. Thank you, Jamunajaya.
Thank you, Raj.
Gail, you have a question? Anybody else like to say hello? Or
No,
share
thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaj. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm good today.
What's that? Okay, you're good today.
Yeah.
This is the first day you've been good in your whole life since I've known you. Okay.
Hopefully
Honestly,
there will be more days like today.
I'm in a state of shock now. I no longer wish you became a Catholic. Okay. Personal jokes. Anybody else like to share a reflection, something in the class that struck them?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your bliss of being in Vrindavan and my realization from the beginning when you were saying that when we go to a certain tapasya, it's freeing our consciousness. It's limiting our body and mind because we don't have as much comfort, but it's freeing our consciousness. And that's really what Vrindavan is about. It's so many austerities and tapasyas there, but the consciousness is always in so much bliss. And I'm so happy you're there.
Well, I have to say, I have it better here. Afterwards, I'm going to show you my garden. It's unbelievable since I came back, what this Anupayani did. And this morning in the worship of my deities, this is another thing. I go out to my front courtyard and pick gardenia, champak, and other fresh flowers and so many tulsis. It's the rainy season. So it's not tapasya in that way. I have to self-impose it by taking some vratas or vows. But when there's difficulty on the bodily platform that comes natural, you extract yourself. For example, when you take a cold shower, no one goes like this, I'm the body. You extract yourself from the body. So it's kind of a practice because the attachment to the body is the absorption of the consciousness. And that's why sensual pleasure can absorb you, unrestricted sex life. It absorbs you in the bodily consciousness of life because you want to extract that pleasure. So it's important to have that kind of experience, but not artificial, just by dedicating yourself to service. Service doesn't necessarily conform to our desires. So it's naturally going to perform a little austerity, but in a natural devotional way. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else have a some reflection? Okay, we still have a few minutes. Anybody like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Go to Gopinath here. So good to see you in Govardhan.
Yeah, it's great to be in Govardhan. Wow, I'm pinching myself actually.
Yeah.
Especially my place is just so, I don't care. There's no air conditioning. I don't have the fan on. It's not that bad. It's beautiful. And yeah. It's kind of interesting. If Vikram, it's something I don't usually eat, but this morning he wanted to kind of give me the entrance to Vrindavan. So he went to Giriraj Mistan Bandar. And I like this stuff and came back with like a steaming hot kachori and I forgot what they're called, like puris, and that green hot sabji. And that was kind of my entrance to India.
No, right.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it does. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Arzu is here.
Great. Love to see you there. My friends from your republic. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Narmasaki here.
Wow. I guess the reception is not good to see the Supreme Personality of Rice.
I hope I can make it again for you.
I hope so.
In Puri, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for the class.
Great. Great.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Who's this?
Bhakti Devi.
Okay, Bhakti Devi, I sent you a
Yes, I heard it. Yeah, definitely give her my WhatsApp or send me her WhatsApp.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Maharaj.
Great to see you. Nice at that retreat. We had such a wonderful retreat, wasn't it?
I was so happy. Yes, it was wonderful.
And you were the one, like not pushing it, but like saying, we got to really have this pumpkin hollow. You mentioned it last year.
Yes.
I just see it's so ideal, that place in the summer for sadhu Sanga. It's comfortable enough and it's simple enough, and the water and the ravine and it's the hills and how they all come down to the central place and the barn.
It's perfect. It's perfect retreat place.
And you saw how Krishna just synchronized all these different subjects to kind of, I tried to give that theme of internal development, and somehow every talk really kind of supported that. Yeah.
Yes, it did. It worked very well, Maharaj.
Well, CSO.
That's right. Thank you so much. Haribol.
Anybody else say hello? Just
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Hemalata Radha.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, looking forward to see you in Govardhan.
Yes. And I'm so happy you're going on that retreat, because that's something very, very deep and special. To go on a retreat, to perform that level of austerity, it really is liberating. And I'll be right around the hill, so that's good too. Okay.
Yeah, definitely, Maharaj.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, thanks for class.
Hey, you guys had to drive for the class, huh?
Yeah.
It's at the same time podcast.
What was the name of that famous American artist, Norman Rockwell? And the guy with the pitchfork and the you're like the modern American kind of American couple like that, I think but Rasik, I got that apartment if you want it.
Okay, great, Maharaj. That's awesome. Thank you.
You can have it for the year. Just when you're not using it, the key has to go to the temple. But I spoke to the owner of it, and I spoke to his seat. He was into it. So we'll just work out the finances. And you can make it any way you want also.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay.
Great. Very blessed. Thank you.
Maybe she can stay too. I'll have to decide. Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Amala. Thank you for class, and it's good to see you in Govardhan.
I can tell you're not freezing. Now it's the opposite, right? It's kind of hot.
I'd rather have it hot than freezing, though.
I'm here. The heat is just beautiful. It's so much more sadhu-like. Not to have to take kind of a hot shower. You put the water. It's so refreshing. But I just got to get geared, but I'm not getting geared the traditional way because I got to go to Vrindavan to meet these beautiful Mormon couple. It's so nice to share, bhakti in that way. So
yeah, it's wonderful.
I have to be available for service. Anybody else say hello? Amala, nice to see you. Thank you. Great. Okay. Hey, Sham Kishore.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
You got some nice Sanga with Dhanurdhara Swami. That's amazing, huh?
It's amazing, Maharaj.
He's a special soul. Not just special. I know him many years. Great. Okay. Hey, anybody? Okay, Haribo.
Raj, it's Isabel. Thank you for class.
Isabel, Haribo.
Haribo.
I'd like to see you on Sunday because you're not in the car.
So true.
Okay, you're in your ashram. It's no longer a house. It's an ashram because
yes.
You accommodate other Vaishnavas Vaishnavis that come to New York, and you do the Indian style that I don't own the house. It's for Krishna. Is when guests come, you move out of your own room, give it to them. That's the highest standard.
Yeah, I get the basement when people come here.
That's great. Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Garaj, Astal Govinda.
And Braja, thank you for class.
Wow, your main man, Raghunath. I came in late at night. He was there sitting in my room with prasad that he personally cooked.
Wow.
At 10:30 at night, I had rice, these really incredible chapatis made out of millet and barley. And then rajma, those are red beans, and some bindi with, and I ate it all. And I went to sleep an hour later. It was all digested. It was so well cooked. Then he came the next morning to settle so many things for me. He's such a great soul to have. All Vaishnav. He's all Vaishnav. And I didn't give him any chocolate because he's losing weight, so I didn't want to encourage him. Okay. Well, I haven't seen people in a week. It's unusual. I missed 2 classes. So, anybody else say hello? Okay, I'm looking over the names here. So I'm seeing every single person that's here and thanking them. Because one person asked me, am I giving class? There's an incredible devotee named Sachi-Suta. I mean, these people are advanced. And he asked, I'm giving class. I said, give class, I have to have an audience. So you're my audience. So I'm thanking every single person as I go down the list. Okay, all of you. Okay, thank you so much. Now I'll turn on the fan and we'll meet next Wednesday. Vanshakalpa Tarubhyas Chakrapa Sindhu Bheva Chapatitaram Bhavani Bhyo Vaishnavi.